Good evening, friends, and welcome to Word on Wednesday with Pastor Rice and Beulahatl. So excited to be joining you all tonight virtually, wherever you are. We are grateful whether you're a member or you're a friend or supporter of Beulah Baptist Church. We are extremely grateful for your presence tonight. Listen, we're excited because we're in part 3 of Winning with Winnie the Pooh, some very practical lessons. The last couple of weeks, I've taken some time to go over some of the elements that are important for us to really think through in terms of understanding what Winnie the Pooh is really all about. And so I want to show this video for a quick moment just to introduce you to the series, and then we'll get started with tonight's.
Hey, church family, many of you all know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Just like we celebrated April being Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, we want to advocate for mental health disparities and education throughout the month of May here at Beulah Baptist Church. I want to personally invite you to join me every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. on Facebook and YouTube for our new series called Winning with Winnie the Pooh. Lessons from Winnie the Pooh for mental health. Come on and join us every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. I promise you there's something special that Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and Piglet and the Owl are going to teach us about how to live life more abundantly. Come join us every Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
I would that you join me tonight in the same text that we've been sitting in, 3 John chapter 1, verse 2 from the New Revised Standard Version. Beloved, above all things, I wish that you would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. I won't do a recap of everything that we've talked about the last 2 weeks about the scripture, but in this particular pericope, the writer is writing to an individual by the name of Gaius, and they are writing to them to ensure that ministry is going well and to wish them well and to suggest and to say, hey, listen, I don't know all of the particulars of your day in and day out, but here's what I do know. I believe that God would have you to prosper in every area of your life, including your spiritual life, your financial life, your physical life, your sexual life, your emotional life, and your psychological well-being as well. I want you to be in good health as your soul prospers. That word soul in the Greek is psyche, which literally means the mind. So for those who suggest that theology and psychology may not go hand in hand, let's have further conversations, because the writer here is letting us know that God is not just concerned about our theology, but God is concerned about our psychology. I was seeing if you all were going to get it. All right. So we want to ensure that theology and psychology go hand in hand. And we know that they go hand in hand, but we want to make sure that we are providing the necessary resources for us to really think through the ways that Winnie the Pooh is going to help us as Christians to live a more holistic and abundant life. What is Winnie the Pooh all about? As some of you all may remember, Winnie the Pooh is not necessarily about mental illnesses and mental health challenges and disparities, but there are some modern neurodevelopmentalists who have read into the characters and diagnosed the characters that came from A.A. Milne and his family. Christopher Robin is the child or the son of an individual who had PTSD. And some neurodevelopmentalists and psychologists would suggest that Winnie the Pooh has binge eating disorder, or ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is also shown in Tigger. We see depression in Eeyore, social anxiety in Roo and Piglet, obsessive compulsive disorder in Rabbit, narcissism and dyslexia in the Owl. Christopher Robin, it is believed to have dissociative identity disorder, also called multiple personality disorders. And then the sweetest one of them all has autism. All right. Why is this important? Because 1 in 5 Americans are living with a mental illness or a mental health diagnosis that you know absolutely nothing about. Mental illness is defined as mental, behavioral, emotional disorders that impair our judgment, ability to think, render our decision-making process effectively. It changes and challenges our behaviors. And so to get a better understanding of this, take a moment to listen to this short video that'll help us to better understand the ways that Winnie the Pooh is addressing mental health.
Have you ever Ever heard of the Winnie the Pooh theory?
I don't think so.
It's that all the characters in Winnie the Pooh are mental disorders that children deal with. So they're all of Christopher Robin's mental disorders personified. Think about it. Piglet, definitely anxiety. How he's always so nervous and he says, "Oh dear," all the time. And Winnie the Pooh, eating disorder.
Batty.
All the honey he's eating. And Tigger's pretty obvious too. Bouncing around on his tail all the time. He's all over the place. That's ADHD. Yep. The rabbit always trying to keep up with its garden. That's OCD right there.
Yep.
And the owl thinking it's wiser than everyone else just because it's an owl. That's narcissism. And then the most obvious one, Eeyore. I bet you can guess what that is.
Depression.
Yep. So every character is supposed to be a different mental disorder. And then if you go a notch above that, Christopher Robin also has a mental disorder for imagining all of these friends, which would be schizophrenia.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we've gone over this the last couple of weeks, but for those who are new to our study tonight, or you may be joining online from a different space or place, we welcome you and we remind you that, again, this is not what Winnie the Pooh is about, but there's a way in which this is superimposed and read onto or extrapolated from the show and the movie. If you've seen the movie on Disney, Christopher Robin, or any of the Winnie the Pooh movies, and things of that nature, all right? So it is dealing with mental health. And because May is Mental Health Awareness Month, friends, I want us to have more in-depth conversations about the ways we attend to our mental health and our trauma. There's a book by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, and this book is called The Body Keeps Score: Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. And here's one of the things that he says that blesses me. He says, some people's lives seem to flow in a narrative, but mine had many stops and starts. That's what trauma does. It interrupts the plot or the story. It just happens. And then life just goes on. No one prepares you for it. It just happens. I want to encourage all of you all to get a copy of this book. It is a relatively thick book, but it is in some places academic and other places relatively practical. One of the reasons that I think this is important for us, in addition to the book that the young adults have been reading by Dr. Tamar Bryant called Homecoming, is because many of us are unaware of the traumas that have taken place in our lives and the way that it still affects us to this very day and this very moment. One of the things that I love about this text that he also says is, while we all want to move beyond trauma, part of the brain that is devoted to ensuring our survival is not very good at denial. It may be reactivated at the slightest hint of danger and mobilize disturbed brain circuits and secrete massive amounts of stress hormones. In other words, what Dr. Bessel van der Kolk is saying here is that trauma can show up at any point in our lives. Something may have happened to you when you were 5 years old and now you're 50. But if somebody says something to you, if somebody does something to you, if somebody even just looks at you the wrong way, some of us will be ready to pop off and have a conversation. Some of us will be ready to throw hands. Some of us will be ready to fight. And you'll be wondering, why was I triggered? What did this have to do with where I am in my life today? I thought I moved beyond that. I thought I'd healed beyond that. I want to say this to you all today. Mental health is not something that has to be fixed. Your mental health is something that should be attended to as delicately as possible. In the same way you go to the gym to attend to your physical health, and the same way you go to a doctor to attend to your physical health, you must do the same thing with your mental health. And while you may say, but Pastor, there is no doctor, there's a therapist. Pastor, there is no doctor, there's a physician, and that is the great physician. But more importantly, you need to talk to somebody about the ways your mental health continues to show up, and the way you show up in the world is the way you show up in the world, because the way you show up in the world is directly correlated to the experiences that you have had and what you have been exposed to as well. So Winnie the Pooh gives us some very practical tips of how we can navigate some of the mental health challenges in the world. Now, these are not overly deep, but these are meant to be direct. 7 basic lessons from Winnie the Pooh and friends. Number 1, friendship is fellowship. Number 2, diversity is what makes up our difference. Number 3, learn how to find meaning in the mundane. Number 4, courage is the core of everything. Number 5, believe, achieve, and receive. Number 6, kindness is king. And number 7, learn to embrace your emotions. Let's walk through these and I'll be out of your way on tonight. Number 1, friendship is fellowship. Some of us have heard the old saying that not all fellowship is friendship, but I want to suggest that all friendship ought to be rooted in fellowship. Why? Because you are fundamentally the company that you keep. If you want to see a person's future, show me their friends. Because who you hang out with is ultimately who you become. Some of us have heard the old adage before, the birds of a feather flock together. Well, friends, if that is to be accepted as a truism, then I want you to know that you must keep good company around you. The Bible declares that it is important for us to keep good company around us because bad company can corrupt the soul. And so it's important for us to have good company around us that helps us to get over the hurdles and the humps of life. You need to keep people in your life who always, and if not always, but most times, keep a smile on your face, because laughter is medicine for the soul. And your friend group should be able to help pick you up when you are down. That's one of the lessons that we learned from Winnie the Pooh. When they lose Christopher Robin, they band together and they stick together to find a common goal, which is Christopher Robin. And friends, your friend group should do 3 things. Your friend group should challenge you, they should correct you, and they should comfort you. If you are the smartest person in your group, then you need new friends. The way you become a giant is by walking with giants. Can I say it again? The way you become a giant is by walking with giants. There's nothing wrong with being a copycat as long as you know which cat to copy. Some of us are copying the wrong cats, and that's why we can't get ahead in life. If you are the smartest person in your friend group, then you need a new group of friends. Tigger and Eeyore and Rabbit and Piglet and Winnie and the Owl and Roo pushed one another, they challenged one another, they corrected one another, and they comforted one another. Can I tell you this? Your friendship should not be based on competition. Can I say it again? Your friendships should not be based on competition. Your friend group should be based on camaraderie, not competition. Your friend group should also be cathartic and therapeutic and not drain all of the life out of you. If every time you hang up from talking to your friends, you feel drained, you feel overwhelmed, or when you see certain people's names pop up on your cell phone, you want nothing to do with them, or you say, I don't feel like talking to them because they're going to be calling with a bunch of drama and mess, then child of God, daughter, son in the ministry, let some of these friendships go. Here's what Eeyore said in one episode of Winnie the Pooh that I love. He said, after all, I can't complain because I still have my friends. I like that, beloved. Eeyore understood that even though, yes, he was wrestling with various bouts of depression, Eeyore said, after all, I can't complain. One cannot complain because I still have my friends. God will show you what God thinks of you and how much you are loved by the friends God places in your life. Job had 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, who were there for him in a difficult time, though they didn't always know the right thing to say. And sometimes your mental health can be affected for the better or for the worse based on your friend group and who's there for you. So friends, make sure that you understand that all fellowship is not friendship, but all friendship is rooted in fellowship. And if you and your friend group can't do anything but talk about other people, then you need new friends. At this point in your life, at your big old age, you and your friends ought to be having conversations that are future-based, not funeral-based. Ooh. Pooh, can I say it again? You and your friends ought to be having conversations about developing 401ks and how much you're contributing and how to diversify your investment portfolio. If your friends are never putting you on a new podcast or new books or new opportunities or whatever the case may be that is meaningful to you and your friend, then you may want to ask yourself, why am I in this friend group? Number one, Winnie the Pooh teaches us that all friendship ought to be rooted in fellowship. But number two, Winnie the Pooh teaches us that diversity equals differences. We don't have to shy away from diversity. Dr. Jeremiah Wright said it this way, the former pastor of Trinity UCC Church in Chicago, Illinois. He said that just because something is different doesn't mean it is deficient. Can I say it again? Just because something is different does not mean it is deficient. And that is something that white America has wrestled with for the better part of 300 some years now, from the inception of America in 1619 to the cementing of it legislatively and politically in 1776. We must learn to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. What does that mean? Equity is treating everyone fairly and providing equitable opportunities and resources to every human being. Diversity is embracing the differences that everyone brings to the table, whether that is somebody's race, age, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, physical ability in terms of ableism, or other aspects of one's social identity. We must learn to embrace diversity and understand that God is a God of diversity, but also inclusion. According to CNN, inclusion is respecting everyone's voice and creating a culture in which people from all backgrounds and walks of life and ethnicities and creeds and nationalities feel encouraged to express their ideas and their perspectives, and those things can be validated and valued without the shunning or the shooing of those who are not ontological others. How do we see this in Winnie the Pooh? Because all of these individuals have a different mental health challenge that they are wrestling with. Again, Eeyore represents depression. Piglet is social anxiety. Winnie the Pooh is binge eating disorder. Tigger is ADHD. Rabbit is OCD. Owl is narcissism. But they don't highlight their differences or demonize their differences. I want to say that one more time, and I want you all to hear me. Don't demonize difference. Just because something is different does not mean it's deficient. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Just because I have a mountaintop view and you have a valley view doesn't mean that my mountain view is greater than your valley view, and it doesn't mean your valley view is greater than my mountain view. It just means that we have a difference of opinions and perspective, but when we bring both the right wing and the left wing of the plane together, we might be able to fly in a more meaningful way. So Winnie the Pooh teaches us about fellowship and friendship. It teaches us, number two, about diversity and differences. But then number three, Winnie the Pooh teaches us how to find meaning in the mundane. What I'm really trying to say is that Winnie the Pooh and his friends, in the midst of being in the house with Christopher Robin or in the midst of being in the enchanted forest, they found joy in the simple things of life. They found joy in the simple things of life. Winnie the Pooh often said, if you go back and watch the movie or any of the shows, the episodes rather, doing nothing often leads to the very best of doing something. And when I first heard him say that, it went in one ear and out the other. But I went back and watched on Disney Plus Christopher Robin. And when Christopher Robin, as a grown man, he asked Winnie the Pooh, what are you going to do? And he said, nothing. And he said, well, what is nothing going to do for you? And he said, well, in my experience, doing nothing always leads to the very best of doing something. And friends, sometimes you and I have got to learn how to embrace doing nothing, because it is in the nothingness of life. It is in the mundaneness of life. As Renita Weems reminds us, Dr. Renita Weems, in her book, Searching for God, reminds us that in the mundane moments of life, That's where we find joy. That's where we experience the ecstasy of divinity, when we have to find joy in the things that seem joyless, when you've got to find meaning in the mundane. Have you ever been there, child of God? If you haven't, I believe the Apostle Paul has. Paul said, sitting in a prison cell as he's writing to the Philippians from a Roman jail, he says, I have learned to be content. Whatever my state, whatever my situation, because in the preceding verses I just preached on Sunday, he says in verse number 4, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. That means that we can find joy in the small things of life. My question for you during May as Mental Health Awareness Month, what do you do for joy that doesn't cost you a lot of money? Do you like to go for a walk in the park at Piedmont or West Side or Centennial Olympic Park? Do you like to walk the Beltline? Do you like to just go outside and walk the dog, or take your cat for a walk with your boo thing or your children? Find meaning in the mundane that helps you to overcome your trauma and whatever stigmas that exist around your mental health. Number four, the fourth lesson is that courage is core. It's foundational. If we don't have courage, as Paul Tillich says in his book, The Courage to Be, to accept our unacceptable selves, then friends, you and I will never get ahead in life. Where do we see this in Winnie the Pooh? Piglet has courage in the enchanted forest or the 100-acre wood as he is looking for Robin, even though he is riddled and gripped by anxiety. Anxiety won't let him go. And every time there's an opportunity for him to speak, he says, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, because he does not have, we might argue, courage enough to overcome that anxiety. But there's an episode in Christopher Robin, or a scene in Winnie the Pooh where Rabbit tells Piglet what to do, and Piglet is about to have an anxiety attack, and Piglet finds a way to muster up enough strength from deep within him, and he says, like the little blue engine, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Even Rabbit, with his short temper and his OCD, encourages Piglet to get out of the bottomless pit. Rabbit and some of the other characters, Tigger and Eeyore and Winnie the Pooh, are stuck in a pit. And Rabbit has to encourage Piglet to find the courage deep within himself to be able to get them out of what they are stuck in. In Joshua chapter number 1, verse number 6, somewhere around there, God, or Yahweh, tells Joshua not once, not twice, but 3 times in the book, listen, don't be afraid. You only need to be courageous. One of the number 1 best-selling books on the New York Times list is this book by Mark Manson called The Subtle Art of Not Giving AF. If you don't know what that means, then don't Google it. But for those who do, God bless you. Just keep smiling and keep taking notes. All right. The subtitle is called A Counterintuitive Approach to Living a Good Life. And the whole premise of the book by Mark Manson is, if you are going to overcome some of the mental health challenges and stigmas that exist in your life, and if you are going to live the best life that God has intended for you, you got to have courage and get over what other people say about you. Get over what other people think about you. Listen, my mama told me a long time ago, Kenny, what other people think about you is not your problem. What other people think about you is none of your business. And I wonder, is there anybody around Beulah or Facebook or YouTube Live who can testify that I don't care what anybody else has to say, what anybody else thinks, how other people move? As for me and my house, as for me and my family, as for me and my ministry and my life, I'm going to have the courage of my convictions to be able to do exactly what God has called me to do. Number 5, fifth principle that we learn is that you got to believe to achieve and receive. I know that that seems really simplistic, but the Bible says in Philippians 4:13, as Paul again is writing to the Philippian church from a prison cell, he says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Let me show it to you in Winnie the Pooh. Christopher Robin told Winnie the Pooh, listen, you are braver than you believe, you're stronger than you seem, and you are smarter than you think. I want to say it again for those of y'all who are taking notes. Christopher Robin told Winnie the Pooh, promise me you'll always remember this. You're braver than you believe, you're stronger than you seem, and you're smarter than you think. You ain't catching it in your spirit, and I want to massage it into your memory and put this deep down into your bank account by making a deposit so you can withdraw it when imposter syndrome comes your way again. Christopher Robin told Winnie the Pooh, you're braver than you believe, than you think. The philosopher René Descartes, in his Cartesian philosophy, put it this way in French: Er cargo de sum, I think, therefore I am. And friends, all I'm trying to tell you is that Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin had to get to the place where they were understood that you can do it. You can not only do all things through Christ who strengthens you, but you have the fortitude, you have the mental dexterity and the capacity to do whatever it is that God is calling you to do. But you've got to believe it. If you believe it, you can achieve it. If you can achieve it, you can receive it. I dare somebody to put it in the chat. I believe, I can achieve, and I receive. Number six, kindness is king. Kindness is king. Why is this important? Because Winnie the Pooh always attracted his friends by being willing to share. And some of us are so nice, nasty, we don't know how to share with anybody. We don't know how to compliment anybody else. Sweetheart, I like your lashes. Young man, I really like your bow tie. I tell Deacon Winfred Hill every Sunday when I see him, Doc, that's a mighty clean bow tie you got on. And I mean it. Don't say it if you don't mean it. Mama said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Brother Harold Baldwin, one of our dearly beloved trustees, always tells me and some of the other young people of the church and in the community, Reverend and others, you can attract more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. I wish more church people and people in the world would adopt this philosophy and mentality and understand it does not cost you anything to be kind to everybody you encounter. Why? Because 1 in 5 Americans is dealing with a mental illness that you know nothing about. 1 in 25, that's 4 in every 100 Americans, is dealing with a severe mental illness. And Winnie the Pooh believed that kindness is a gift that everyone can afford to give. What do you mean? Whenever Winnie the Pooh was getting a new pot of honey and somebody else hadn't eaten, or they wanted some honey because it tasted good, what did he do? He didn't say, no, this is mine, homeboy, go get your own. He didn't say, no, I worked for this. I went to work and worked my 9 to 5. You need to get your lazy behind up and go work your 9 to 5 and stop trying to rely on other people to get government assistance or social programs or whatever the case is. No, he said, as the Lord has blessed me, I want to be a blessing to somebody else. Some of us are going to mess around and miss our blessings because we have not read Hebrews 13, verse number 2. Be careful of how you treat strangers, for you may be entertaining angels unaware. Lastly and finally, the 7th thing we learn from Winnie the Pooh and his friends is to embrace your emotions. In the film Christopher Robin, but also in some of the episodes of Winnie the Pooh, you'll find these characters searching and wandering through the wilderness of the woods called the 100 or the 100-acre woods. And when they are in the 100-acre woods, all of them get deathly scared and they reveal their true emotions and how they feel. Friends, I hope somebody takes note of this tonight. You can't heal what you won't reveal. You can't heal what you won't reveal. And so long in Black communities and in Black church, we've been taught to sweep our trauma under the rug. But listen to what Dr. Bryant says in her book called Homecoming. She says, emotional intelligence is the capacity to be tuned into and to regulate your feelings and to relate to others in a way that takes into consideration their emotional experience as well as our own. When you learn to embrace your own emotions, then you can have conversations that are healthy about the ways that other people experience you and your emotional intelligence as well. This summer, during our series on Inside Out, Learning to Manage Our Emotions, Gloria Wilcox's Feeling Wheel was introduced to the congregation. In case you're a new member and you didn't see that study, or just in case you're a returning member and you forgot or you didn't attend the July Bible study series, I want to introduce this again because there are 6 major emotions that really function as the epicenter of our emotional capacity. Those are sadness, madness, joy, peaceful, powerful, and scared. Those are 6 emotions that help everybody to tap into the gambit of emotions that stem from these. Okay. There's the feeling of being mad, sad, scared, joyful, peaceful, and powerful, and all the other emotions that we experience, such as being thankful or sentimental or miserable or jealous or foolish or excited or cheerful. They stem from these other 6 emotions. And I'm hoping and praying that at this big old age, we all know how to identify our emotions in a healthy way and can adequately articulate to other people what we are feeling and why we are feeling what we are feeling. And if you haven't gotten to that place yet in your journey, your spiritual or your emotional or psychological journey, it is okay. That is what sessions like this are for. Friends, I want to ask a couple of questions that I've been asking for the last 2 weeks. I'm going to ask them again. How can you better assist somebody wrestling with mental health challenges? Or how can you better assist yourself if you are wrestling with mental health challenges? Have you experienced any of the symptoms discussed tonight? If so, how did you cope with them in a healthy, holistic manner? Did you seek professional help? And if you did not, are you willing to seek out professional help in addition to just praying or meditating or journaling or reading your Bible? As always, I encourage you all to send me an email at pastor@beulahatl.org if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or hints or threats. Every Monday at Beulah, we are excited to offer a ministry called Grief Share at 6:30 p.m. led by Deacon Marcus Cone, Dr. Christian Johnson, Sister Veronica Cox, and Deacon Karen Williams. We've had a number of individuals who have signed up for this. We want you to sign up as well if you are experiencing grief, if you are navigating loss, any kind of mental health challenges or disparities. I want to give a disclaimer that none of the individuals who lead this ministry are licensed physicians or psychologists, but they do have the unique capacity to walk alongside life with you and help you to navigate grief and death as well. We also passed out some literature on Sunday for members who were in church, a reading list for individuals who may have a desire to explore more about the topic of mental health. Again, I want to remind you that this text is phenomenal by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk called The Body Keeps Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma, Healing Trauma to Reclaim Your Authentic Self by Tama Bryant, Setting Boundaries to Find Peace by Nadra Glover, Permission to Feel by Dr. Mark Brackett, Permission to Be Black by A.D. Thomason, and Unashamed by Lecrae. There are more books than this. These are just some that we would like to introduce you all to here at Beulah. If there's anything that I or others in leadership can do to help ease your journey or to alleviate your burdens, feel free to send an email. I can't wait to see you all on Sunday. As always, I love you dearly. There's nothing you can do about it. If you go with God, I promise God will go with you, because life with God is better in every way and every day. I love you all dearly. Take care.